Hello everyone, welcome to Midweek Gaming. I'm Nick on the side of the comms, of course, Justin providing audio commentary in his own brand of madness where applicable. So, the Game Awards just happened last night, or is it still last night? Yeah, no it is. I'm factoring in time zone differences.
Yeah,
But
it would
anyways,
be
what a
last.
night. What a night it was. Congratulations, by the way, to the Game Awards and Jeff Keighley and everything for the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards. It's just interesting to see a pet project go this far and get so big. At least I believe it was a pet project for him. And also the 30th anniversary of Sony, which I think is this month, which is, oh, it just plays in too perfectly, but we'll get back to that. Before we get into that, though, congratulations to all the winners and the nominees of the Game Awards. Just well done, great night. Everyone who got an award, I would like to say deserved it. That is not me being like cynical or facetious. I just want to say I think they do. I say that only because I'm sure there's a lot of people who would disagree with me. But anyways, so let's just start off from the top. Astrobot
Yes.
got Game of the Year.
Yes.
My goodness, I didn't see that one coming.
My little robo friend.
My little
Just a
robo friend.
platformer game
That
with
game.
a lot of references.
I mean, in fairness, I mean, no disrespect to Astrobot, right?
No.
I just find it's too fucking perfect, my guy. I mean, think about it, right? This is a game or a franchise, let's just say, that started on the PS4, I think, and just started as like a novelty thing. I think it was the PS4 start, maybe the PS5, but like it started as like
I think PS5.
okay, it might have been the PS5. I thought it was the 4, but I might be mistaken. Regardless, it started as just this promo thing, something they just included in the game to just get people familiar with the, with the console and stuff like that. Just, this little promo thing. And then it just kind of became a franchise, and they did one game based on it, which is itself arguably just giant promo, like, for everything else, and like a digitized version of Little Big Planet, which is, I don't know.
Something about this is weird.
And you know what? It from all accounts, don't get me wrong, from all accounts, from what I hear, it actually is a very fun, like family-friendly game. I honestly might play it just for the novelty of it all. And I know it was included in all the PlayStations because it was in the PS5 that I had back when I was still a salesman for PlayStation, selling VR headsets. So, like I said, it's just so interesting to see the game that started as like this just little fun little promo thing they did end up getting Game of the Year on the 10th anniversary of the Game Awards on the same year and month, I think, that they're themselves also celebrating PlayStation's 30th anniversary. Just how perfect is that? It's just
Very.
it's just I don't know, man. It's just too perfect. One of the other big ones that came around through the Game of the Year, or the Game Awards in general, also Game of the Year nominee, was Voltero. I honestly never even heard of Voltero up until this point. But it seems to be quite a popular indie game at the moment, because it got all over the Game of the Year, and a bunch of other nominations, like Game Direction, and I think a few others. Let me check my list. Actually, while I'm checking, a wonderful article that I have actually from NPR, which kind of summarizes the night and gives you a full list breakdown, I believe, of everyone who was nominated and the actual winners of the awards. So, link down in the comments if you want to see the full list of the nominees and their winners. But nonetheless, yeah, Volterra got like good game direction, got nominated for Game of the Year. Flickin' Heck got nominated a few other places. Let me just check here. Anyways, several awards here. Let me just go to the highlights of this one, because it's also, funny enough, mentions this. It won 3 awards and got nominated for 5, so that's interesting. Speaking of nominations, Metaphor actually was also in the Game of the Year category for potential Game of the Year. Did not win Game of the Year, but did at least win Best Narrative. Same thing with Wukong. It did not get Game of the Year, but it did win. Did get 5 nominations and won 2, which was one of them Best Action, which is one of the big awards as well. Helldivers 2, also one of the big ones up for Game of the Year, I believe. Actually, nope, I take that back. It is not.
No,
I'm confusing my name. It was not. But it did win 2 things and nominated for 4. So regardless, basically all the people who were in the Game of the Year category pretty much walked away with something decent regardless.
Pretty much, yeah. Everyone actually this year around came out with something nice.
So it's not one of those years where it's like, what was it, the one year where basically
Like
The Last of Us Part 2
Last
won
of Us
everything, and everyone was sitting here like,
Last
why?
of Us Part 2. It's like, sir, this doesn't seem right.
Yeah, I was like, that was the biggest year. I literally sat there and go, somebody must have paid off Keeley. There's no way.
This doesn't. Oh.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The Last of Us Part 1 is good. I've played it to completion. It's a fun game. I've not played Part 2, but I've seen enough of Part 2 and heard enough about Part 2 to know that it is an absolute it's a clusterfuck. It really just... I'm sorry. It's not worth half the praise it gets, if you ask me. But that's beside the point. So yeah, that happened. There were also, as usual, a lot of big reveals that come with the Game of the Year awards. Game of the... no. My brain, for some reason, thought that was improperly said. Weirdly enough, I took a list, actually, of the kind of things that were mentioned, and weirdly enough, for the first time, a good chunk of my notes actually came from the pre-show of all things, which didn't expect that to happen. Like, one of the things I think they revealed in the... No, you'd expect, like, the big highlight reveals to come, like, near the end of the show, but this year there was actually, like, quite a lot of things that were quite interesting to mention just in the pre-show itself, so there's that. Like, Extreme Pac-Man.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it's called. I didn't even get the chance to look it up before the show, but it's like a reinventing of an old genre. I'm like, okay, what the heck are they doing? And then I just see this and I'm like, oh, that's Pac-Man. Oh, that's Extreme Pac-Man.
Yeah.
Someone took Pac-Man, looked at Dark Souls, and said, what if we put the two together? And then looked at Metroid and said, add a bit of that too. And put Dark Souls' tone, Metroid's feel, and Pac-Man genre together. What do you get? You get this nonsense.
You get something big here, brother.
So that's a thing. Also, KT is going back to the Ninja Gaiden franchise. That is interesting. When I saw their logo, I literally thought that they were going to be putting up like another Soulsborne or like a Nioh game or something like that. Not that those games are bad. I've played those games. They are all very good. It's just, I'm surprised they went back to Ninja Gaiden, but they did. The Witcher 4, as usual from CD, they didn't say anything. They showed a lot, didn't say anything. So maybe we'll get it by 2030 if we're lucky. I don't know.
Maybe.
But actually, there might have been a release date there. I don't think there was, though. The Outer Worlds 2, I believe, is 2025. So we got a release date for that. That's interesting to see. And Okami. Okami is getting a sequel. I never thought I'd see the day.
Yes. Yes.
Who knew that? Who knew that the Ink Paint Fox game would ever get a sequel? I want to play the original Okami. Honestly, I really do. Oh well, one day. If it's getting a sequel, I just want to go to Nintendo now and be like, remake? Remake?
Remake, please. Remake, please.
I mean, honestly, where Nintendo is concerned, like, things generally don't get... like, games from older generations of, like, things don't get carried over to, like, more modern consoles, kind of like what PlayStation, Xbox are kind of doing. Unless you kind of, like, force them to. It's like everything that's on the Switch will be carried over to the Switches. Everything that's on the DS will be carried over onto the DSs. But cross-console, nah. Like, you don't see many DS games getting put on Switch, if memory serves. And that's by, like, rare exception.
Very rare.
So, maybe? Maybe we'll see it? That would be nice, but it's Nintendo, so I won't hold my breath. What else to talk about here? Oh yes, Tales of the Shire. I literally have Tales of the Shire and then in my notes. It's like this cozy little, like, cooking life sim game based on, like, the Lord of the Rings. It's like someone looked at Hobbitville in the Lord of the Rings franchise and like, forget all of the Lord of the Rings, just make that into a game. And that's how Tales of the Shire came to be, I guess. Interesting how in the actual titling they have a game based in the Lord of the Rings franchise instead of Lord of the Rings franchise or something like that. It just felt worded weirdly. It's like they have to put the in there for copyright reasons, which they probably do legitimately.
They probably do, yeah. In more
Which,
ways
if I'm
than
being
one, yeah.
At least Shadow of Mordor and the Shadow of series, they would kind of sidestep that issue, but that's the one issue we're seeing with the problem of retrospect from Tolkien's perspective. He trademarked the Lord of the Rings, not just Lord of the Rings, and now we're stuck with the everywhere. Makes it feel weird, but whatever. But yeah, this year does seem like most of the winners actually did deserve the stuff they got.
Yeah, it was a lot like last year, where like everyone seemed very much like they deserved their win.
There are some games that I do question, not because it's like I'm curious as to like, why. Well, in one case, and that was best community support. Now, let me be very clear here. I'm throwing zero shade to Larian. I love their Divinity franchise, or I think it was the Divinity franchise,
No,
the Dragon Commander one.
yeah, but they got it for Boulder.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying for preference here. I have nothing against Larian. I love their franchise. I just actually bought Baldur's Gate 3 recently. Yes, I'm finally getting around to playing it. So we will see. I just hadn't had the money to get to it recently. But so again, I have no shade against them. I'm just curious how they not only got nominated for community support but won it. Like, don't get me wrong, most of the games on this list I get. Helldivers 2, sure. No Man's Sky, I mean, the community support, that's a tale of old time, honestly. That's a comeback story in the game industry that'll go down in history. Fortnite,
Yeah,
I
just
do not comment.
So, bro.
Yeah, they just exist. So, yeah, I mean, what is it? They're showing like their OG version. Like, what even is Fortnite at this point? Like, Fortnite is becoming Warframe at this point. I don't even know what to describe it to
mashup
people.
of everything and anything to you
To
know
a
what,
mashup
let's
of
try to
everything
go
and
and be original again.
like, we're approaching a moment in Fortnite's life where, much like Warframe, I don't know how to describe it to people at this point. It's just like it is.
It kind of
So,
is.
so I kind of get that. Final Fantasy 14, I think that's the online version, so again, makes sense. I'm just shocked that, like I said, Baldur's Gate 3 got on that list, because it's, like, don't get me wrong, again, no shade to Larian, but considering I think it was like a single-player game that has does it have DLC? I don't think it even has DLC, honestly, at this point. So, beyond it coming out, and then I know the dev tools are now available, I think on GOG, or not on GOG, on Steam. So they made those available, so you can kind of like mess around with those if you want to, which, I mean, just cool. I mean, the tech behind how that game works, from what I understand, is pretty interesting, so you can do some pretty interesting things with that. Hypothetically, you could build the game from ground up and make your own, like, campaigns for D&D if you're really into it, but I digress. But, beyond that, I honestly don't see how much, like, what exactly the criteria for the community support there was. But that's just my opinion. Not saying they don't deserve it. I'm just, like I said, just confused on how exactly they got it, so to speak. One game that I've honestly, like I said, not heard about at all, though, is Spaltero, which walked away with, like I said, quite a few games. Like, from what I can gather from this looking game,
what's going on with that one.
yeah, it's like best independent game, best indie game, kind of the same, I guess. Best mobile game, guess it's on mobile. Interesting how it beat out Weathering Waves and Zenless Zone. So, there's that. And also Pokemon Trading Card Pocket. Like, Pokemon, for pity's sake. And AFK, I guess, but... Like I said, the independent game beat out all these big names. We're seeing, like, MiHoYo, Weathering Waves, Pokemon, for pity's sake. So, I don't know. Like I said, it looks like an interesting, like pixelated version of poker or something like that. I'm gonna have to look into it or something. I don't know. Best VR got Best VR AR game, to the surprise of absolutely no one in the crowd, got awarded to Batman Arkham Shadow. Let's just take a moment and say, duh! Honestly, before that game came out, I heard so many people just wanting to get a VR just to experience that. I think it was like the Oculus specifically you need, so like everyone was buying the Oculus just for that, so there's that. Best RPG also went to Metaphor, so good for them. Fighting game, Tekken 8. Duh. Family game, Astrobot. I keep wanting to say Astro Boy. I truly do. My brain, the connections are just there. But anyways, I haven't said it yet. Best multiplayer game, obviously Helldivers 2. Best adaptation. Now this is where things get interesting. Obviously it went to Fallout, if you know the show. It went to Fallout, the adaptation, which, again, fine. On the list was things like Arcane, Knuckles, and this is where things get interesting. Like a Dragon Yakuza and Tomb Raider The Legend of Lara Croft also apparently adaptations. I didn't even know those two existed, honestly. And I'm shocked because those are usually things I would hear because it looks like the Lara Croft one was like an anime and I mean, I know the Yakuza franchise, so I'm surprised I
Yeah.
didn't see an adaptation for that come down. Maybe I'm just not following the right circles. But anyways, Fallout won it,
Yes. And
which
to,
resulted in
like,
Todd Howard coming up and down from the stage quite often.
yeah.
Which may I just say for a second, is it just me or does he seem short, or was he just standing behind beside like a lot of tall guys?
Uh,
I don't
Seems the
know.
same
It's
to
just an odd thing I
me.
noticed. Just an odd thing I noticed in the show. It's like, does Todd feel small, or is it just like a lot of the guys he's going up with are like just freakishly tall? I don't know. But anyways, want to comment on that one since Fallout's kind of your stick?
Yeah, overall, it was kind of to be expected because the Fallout adaptation did exactly how well you would think, and it was very, like, fairly genuine to the actual series, which is something people 100% appreciate about, you know, any adaptation. So.
You would think that's kind of the bare minimum, but I guess
You would
with
think
Hollywood,
that
that's
is
a
like
given,
the
right?
bare minimum, but overall, yeah. So I would say it was like very obviously pretty good. The fact that you had such a fairly well set up adaptation, really. I don't know. Overall, it was pretty well good.
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, like I said, it was made in the quote-unquote Hollywood circuit, so you'd think faithful adaptation would be the bare minimum, but let's be honest, like I said, we're Hollywood, that seems to be more of a suggestion than a rule.
That is
But
correct.
speaking of the adaptation slot, I'm surprised Arcane actually was there, merely because I thought Arcane came out more than a year ago, which means it was not eligible for the position, but maybe
And
the
that's the
adaptation
thing
position is
with
more float, like
Arcane.
ongoing
That
game.
actually goes into another thing that I wanted to go and discuss, which
Mhm.
was League of Legends and how they got best esports. I have a feeling, like, because that's the thing. Arcane is part of the League of Legends universe. I have a
It
feeling
is.
that is the reason why it is, like, done so well overall, is because of the fact that
That's a
they
big
have
thing.
like such a big backing community, pretty much.
I guess, but it's like, is that really any different from any of the other adaptations, though? Like,
I know,
Fallout's kind of in a
like,
similar
well, no,
boat,
like
and
that's the
so is
thing.
Fallout.
Overall, you would think Fallout would be even more of a reason for it to why it won, but
Not
that's,
really.
yeah, true. But like
Come on, Fallout
overall,
League. Sorry, but no.
yeah, it's like man, everyone already knows. Don't play that game. But like overall, I have a feeling the reason why Arcane is like kind of still going as much as it is because legitimately it is a very good story. It is a very good story. It could use some more fleshing out at certain parts, but it was what it is. So that's the thing. Like, I would say, yeah, pardon me, audience. I am currently like hell diving and learning about the Illuminate, and this is actually some serious zombie-looking shit going on. But overall, like the Fallout series is a very good series, and it was fairly extremely true to the genuine actual work. So I would say that is like one of the major reasons why it won. While Arcane was just a very good story overall.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think like it's kind of multifaceted. I think the reason Arcane here is maybe because the adaptation slot is more of a kind of float position, kind of like ongoing game. Like obviously you
Yeah.
can't have that as a yearly thing alone because that kind of invalidates the award at that point if it's not ongoing. But in the case of Arcane, now full disclosure, neither of us have seen it.
No.
I want to see it. I have Netflix, and I want to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it because I'm not big into League, so I haven't really taken the time to sit down like I did with the Cyberpunk adaptation. But in fairness, from what I understand, it is a really good story, like Justin said. Granted, again, I think the reason why a lot of people also give it a lot of credit, and this has always been kind of a tinfoil hat theory based of my knowledge of League and just Arcane in general, is kind of because it broke the mold and kind of proved that it could be done. I mean, like when you look at the series of like the kind of the landscape of video game adaptations into cinema, right? You have things like the Pokemon movie, the Detective Pikachu,
Yes.
which kind of broke the mold and said, here you can do adaptations for video games well and make good money doing it on the movie circuit. I think that was the one that broke the mold on movies, but I think when it came to TV shows, it was actually Arcane that broke the mold and said you can also do the same shtick in the TV show format. And you're probably thinking, well, what the heck is the difference? Well, when you think about it, it's very different because of how their stories are told, right? Movies are they're big budget. Movies obviously have way bigger budgets than TV shows because they're backed by way bigger people and yada yada yada, but also because the fact that you sit down and you watch a movie from beginning to end. Whereas a TV show, you kind of get up, you walk away, and then maybe next episode you watch in next week or a few weeks or a few months or a few years or whatever. And so they have to tell the story very differently and kind of break it up in a way where it makes sense. And so you have to actually have to just said that 3 times in a bloody row. Yeah, have to have cutoff points in your storytelling to make room to like segue into the next episode. With a movie, you don't have to do that. So they're very much told very differently, and they're made on vastly different budgets. So to break the mold from movies doesn't necessarily mean that logic applies to TV shows, and I think Arcane did that with TV shows.
Yes.
And that's why it's so big. But that again is just my tinfoil hat theory. Moving on down the list.
Pardon me. The audience the audience and me are just having a very funny time with my Helldiver and how he seems.
Maybe you're having a funny time. They're just having a moment of confusion.
They're having a very confusing moment of how is this human being bending their arm through their body.
Helldivers, ladies and gentlemen.
The Helldivers.
Which you gotta admit, you gotta love some of the press work they did at the Game of Year awards. Both Helldivers and Warframe had like two major expansions
they both
that they revealed at the Game Awards.
Pretty good job with their trailers and reveals.
Exactly. Which is kind of hilarious. May I just take a moment and when Rebecca Ford came out and did the Warframe reveal, she mentioned the question of like, what is Warframe? We don't even know at this point. Funny because I think when I went to the actual, because I've met her actually weirdly in person at the TennoCon over in Toronto, or not Toronto, in London, Ontario, every year. And this year when I went, actually over the summer, I was actually having that same conversation to other people where it's like, what do we describe Warframe as? And we're just sitting there, we're like, we don't even know at this point. It's a game that's becoming the point of like, it doesn't fit into a mold anymore. It's not like Destiny is a shooter, Fallout is a survival shooter, Death Stranding is walkathon simulator. It's like you can't put Warframe into a niche category anymore because you don't even know what the hell you're doing at this point. So I want to feel like maybe she overheard that or something. But anyways, going back, like I said, most anticipated, won by GTA 6, which, duh. People have been wanting GTA 6 ever since GTA 5 came out several years ago. It's GTA, for God's sake. What are you gonna do?
That franchise as a whole, they're like, as soon as the next installment comes out, it's like, all right, so next installment now.
I mean, in fairness, it's Rockstar, right? Rockstar is one of those companies that they overdo it. They're definitely a company that is not afraid to be extremely controversial, sometimes overtly so. And also, they will do the most dumb details for it. Like, what was it? One of the jokes people were talking about back when Red Dead 2 came out, where it's like, legitimately, if you looked at your horse's testicles, they will actually come up and down based on the weather.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
absolutely
people
obscene
looked into that, and it was
detail.
like, all right, kudos for the detail,
Absolutely, it's like
but
it's obscene.
sir,
It's an obscene detail. It's a complete obscene detail.
it
Like, why
didn't
would you bother
exactly
putting that in?
matter. But the fact that they did it, all right, kudos. But
Like, it's like kudos. It is like this is just Rockstar for you. They will do the most insane detail, even if it is completely asinine.
yes.
Which, on the side note, can you just imagine being the guy tasked with coding that? That's gotta be that'd be hilarious. But anyways, but yeah, again, quite a lot of things won in the Game of the Year. Again, congratulations to everyone. Like I said, it's just another interesting year. Congratulations for the 10th anniversary. Congratulations for Sony's 30th. It's the fact that they won Astrobot as their that's the Game of the Year on that year of their 30th anniversary. Again, you just can't, right? You can't make this shit up. You just like it is what it is. Oh yes, and before we go, with our last little bit of time, may I also say it's good to see that kind of Jeff, kind of, I suppose you could say, make amends for what happened last year with the Game Awards, where the whole bit of mass layoffs, and he was lambasted very much so for just not even touching it at all. And so it's kind of nice that he kind of went out of his way to kind of course correct and actually create the whole Game Changer Award and awarding it to a Monsieur Emir Stavet, I believe I'm pronouncing your name correctly, who, interestingly enough, as I'm reading this article, lists him as an employee of Tencent, actually, which is kind of funny. Here's a really nice man working for a really not nice company.
Yes.
Which, whatever. Whatever. Anyway, it's good
interesting in and itself, but you know.
But again, whatever. Like I said, he deserved the award. Well done.
Yes, he did a good job, actually. They had a pretty good reason to give it to him.
Yeah, he had a very good reason. It was definitely not something they pulled out of their butts, so to speak.
No, it was an honest, like, damn. Okay, that guy did like that. Okay, you did a good job, bro.
It certainly says a lot when he received the award. When after he was shown for what he did, he actually received a standing ovation for the award.
He had a
completely unprompted.
Yeah, it wasn't like any. I forget which other.
And I remember,
but, like, there were some that seemed prompted, but like that one was not prompted.
Yeah, some of them did, like, I don't know about prompted, but yeah, no, some of them it's like, okay, you clap here. It's like something you do respect.
Yeah, like people are being the typical respectful type thing.
But he actually completely, again, from what I could tell, unprompted, just got a standing ovation, which, let me just remind you for a second, set the stage. This is the Game of the Year, and this is the 10th anniversary, and if you knew the audience, of the big names were there, even if they didn't see it. Like, the big guy who ran, who used to be, like, the big head honcho for Nintendo was in there as well. I can't remember his name. He got brought in to kind of assist with GameStop. I don't remember bloody his name. But like I said, he was there. Frickin' Hideo Kojima was there. Frickin' Todd Howard was there. Like, I just go on and on and on. These are the biggest names in the industry, for God's sake. So it says a lot when they give you a standing ovation. But nonetheless, good to see that he got it. So yeah, that kind of brings us to the end of the show. I guess we'll wrap it up there. Again, there's far more things we could touch on, but there's just so many things that happened in the Game of the Year that we could do like an entire 2-hour-long segment, honestly, breaking everything down. But I don't think you, the audience, or us, the presenters, want to do that.
No. However, I will take a quick second to shout out Arrowhead. Bro, I'm playing like easiest trivial level for the Illuminate front right now, and this shit is like actually pretty entertaining.
Like, well, if the game's not entertaining, it's not doing its job.
True, but still, I'm playing trivial, and I'm actually having fun with this. I'm just like, oh hey, I'm not actually even trying, but I'm having fun with it. I'm having a lot of fun with this.
Let the audience know that I actually suggested Helldivers 2 originally when it first came out. Like, oh, you'll have fun with this. Like, yeah, sure.
Well,
whatever.
No, I told.
Now he's saying you'd have fun with it.
Hold on. I said I was going to be interested in getting Helldivers. I just didn't get it immediately because I had a feeling things were going to be a little iffy at the beginning.
Anyways, moving on. So, That's, like I said, the show, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to everyone who got nominated. Congratulations to everyone who got the award.
Yep.
Congratulations to, like I said, Mr. Amir Stavat for getting the very first Game Changer award. And like I said, congratulations to Jeff for the 10th anniversary of the Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll watch it in person one day.
One day.
One day.
You know what? When did they normally do it down in the U.S., right?
Oh, it's always in the U.S. It's always like in Los
so
Angeles.
there's a possibility maybe one day.
Maybe one day. Like I said, when I go down to the U.S., maybe one day. Oh, that's my alarm going off. So we've run out of time, then, gentlemen. So have a good day, have a good night, and we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a good one.